Hello everyone, my name is MansaMusa and welcome back to my channel. Today we're back with another replay analysis in Advanced Wars by Web. Today we'll be covering a standard game played on the map Bangalore between StarFlash and Tesla246. These are both very well-known players in the scene. StarFlash is one of the top players on the site in general. He's ranked top 10 in both, I think in all of Standard, Fog, and in High Funds. He's won the Meng's Grandmaster Cup 2 times, and he's just recently won the Humida Anonymous Players Cup that happened a few weeks ago. If you missed any of those videos on Humida's channel, I'll link it below. But it was a great series, and he's obviously one of the top players on the site if he can beat some of these Grandmasters that he constantly faces. Tesla, on the other hand, is a well-known alt account, and what I mean by alt account is he really only plays one CO. He only plays Adder, which is incredibly impressive for the rank that he's at. I'll pull up his information here. We'll take down StarFlash's, pull up Tesla's, and you can see that he's an incredibly high-ranked player. He's playing some of the Grandmasters like StarFlash, and he's playing it at a huge disadvantage. I mean, look at the matchup here. We have Sasha, who's a Tier 1 CO, versus Adder, who's Tier 4, obviously. So the fact that Tesla is able to dominate so highly is really speaks to just how strong he is with Adder and just how good of an overall player he is. I believe Tesla actually has an alt, which is just called Tesla246 alt, where he plays all COs, not just Adder, and that one is actually obviously ranked higher than his actual account that only plays Adder. So it's a bit of a fun mismatch where his main is where he's doing the fun stuff, and then his alt is where he's actually doing serious play, if you put it in that way. But this is always an amazing matchup, a really fun game to cast when you have such a tier difference between COs against players that are about the same rating level or about the same skill. I'd probably rank StarFlash higher than Tesla in general, not even considering the CO matchup. But it's going to be a really interesting game to cast, especially because StarFlash is known for being a very aggressive and fast player. And while he does great in all these tournaments, when it comes to Global League, he maybe tends to make a few more mistakes just because he's playing a lot of games at the same time and playing them very fast. He's not someone who stalls in move planner like myself. I'm very guilty of that. But enough about the players, though. Let's discuss this map a bit. This match was played on Bangalore, which is a mixed base map in the standard pool. And personally, I love Bangalore. Bangalore is a really interesting map to me because it is both mixed base and also kind of an HQ rush map. You can see there's these two very exposed HQs here in the center of the map, alongside a lot of the properties, right? So you have these chains here that allow you to get very aggressive towards the bases. And also that's where the HQs are. So the majority of the games I've actually seen on Bangalore have devolved or at least threatened some sort of an HQ rush at some point. And you'll also pretty much always see a base trade scenario on this map. And it has to do with these two bases here in the center. You'll notice that there's 3 bases of your opposing player looking at this one base, and that this base is also trapped between these 2 mountains. So we had a replay analysis earlier on this channel on Darkling Woods, I think, where we talked about a base that was just like this, where it's in between 2 mountains, and we talked about in that replay how you can put units on either side of the space and essentially base lock it, trap it, and take it over very soon after that. So that's the same thing with this map. I think Bangalore was maybe not the originator of this idea, but definitely one of the most famous maps with it. So you will see this kind of mixed base format always kind of devolve into a left-right scenario eventually as well. But there's just a lot of points of interest then, right? So you can go for an HQ rush, you can go for a base trade, you can just go for an overall economic advantage with how many cities are on the map. Another reason why Sasha is a great pick as well by StarFlash. But because this map is so dynamic, you always have interesting games on it. So with all that being said, let's get right into the match. StarFlash250 versus Tesla246 on Bangalore. We started this map, like most maps, with a bunch of early captures on the bases and early cities. So not much is going to happen for the first few days. The bases on Bangalore start uncaptured just because these weak bases would get overrun too quickly, in my opinion. If these bases start captured and this base is going to get out units in time, it needs a little few days to actually get some of these properties before being overwhelmed. So I believe that's why these neutral bases start that way instead of being captured to begin with. But like I said, not much is going to happen on these first few days. There are a few interesting infantry decisions, whether you want to go to the north and get this chain here, 1, 2, 3, or go to the south and get these 3 cities, which are all close to this base as well. You also eventually want to be attacking this comm tower or going for this comm tower as black. So these 2 bases have a lot of work to get to, and same for red on the other side. So it's always very interesting to see where these early infantry are going for the players. But like I said, not a lot of engagements are going to happen in these first few turns. StarFlash goes ahead and starts the capture on the comm tower, whereas Tesla is going more for the income in these properties. I would say I generally like Tesla's move more. There's not going to be, like I said, a lot of engagements, at least for maybe another 2 or so turns, so you can probably wait to get this infantry out to get the comm tower, and send this one to get the cities. But not a huge difference. The main difference we actually see in this point is that StarFlash is able to get the first 2 tanks because he is Sasha. We see that he has already, this is actually 11 cities captured, but because it's Sasha, you get that extra 1,100, the 10% extra income. So because of this funding curve, StarFlash was able to get 2 tanks to currently Tesla's 0. So that's just one of the main advantages of Sasha in general, but especially on a mixed-based map. It's incredibly advantageous to get that high tank count and overall high unit count against your opponent. So we'll see how Tesla is going to respond to this. He goes out, captures some more cities, and builds a tank from the north base. I think that's kind of a signal that you see the 2 tanks on this side. He's not going to try to defend this base. He's just going to kind of go already, kind of signaling that he's going for a base race type scenario where he's going to be pretty passive here and not try to fight into these tanks, but go for this base instead. We have some more early captures. He goes for this island here. This is not going to be interrupted by any of these infantry so far. And we go ahead and get some more early captures, and we get a mech to help defend this base. Tesla is known for loving mechs. He's probably one of the most famous mech builders and mech enjoyers on the site. And it's especially good as adder. Because his powers apply to all units and not just vehicles like Max or Jess, his mechs actually get a huge bonus, about the same level as Sammy. About the same strength as a Sammy mech, obviously not with the firepower, but with those movement increasing powers, mechs are much better on adder than a lot of COs. So rolling in to StarFlash's turn, he goes for the city here. We often have this stand up on this map. It's always a fun interaction when you have it. Puts his infantry in range to interrupt this comm tower if this infantry was to stop its city capture. Moves out his tanks and starts some more captures. Builds a tank on this side to help defend the space. So StarFlash, unlike Tesla, is not really ready to give up the base yet, or is not signaling that he wants to give up the base. Moving to day 5 for Tesla now. He goes in and gets a strike on the infantry with his tank, and goes ahead and actually interrupts his own capture to take the infantry off the city and capture it himself. And now there's no unit in this area that can interrupt this capture. So this is an incredibly smart move by Tesla here. He's getting an actual property flip, not just a property capture, which he had here. And there's no way that this tank can interrupt it. And I believe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, this tank is also... Oh, no, wait, he can go from this side, actually. So this tank can attack this tank back to get some compensation for losing the city. But I still kind of like this play. You want to stop Sasha getting as much income as possible, or else she's just really going to snowball on you. So this is a nice find by Tesla, and we'll see how StarFlash reacts to it. Tesla starts getting some more captures both in the west and in these 2 secluded islands. Moves his infantry back both to get in range of this city and to get out of range. Oh, no, he's not. He's still in range of the tank. I don't know why he moved it here. I guess it doesn't matter too much. I don't think the tank's going to really go for that engagement either way. But we'll have to see. Builds a mech to help protect this area against that tank's aggression. And we move into StarFlash's turn. StarFlash goes for the capture on his comm tower. Gets some more infantry captures and goes for the interrupt. That makes more sense why the tank would go there, actually. I'm actually seeing Tesla's idea here. This is really sneaky. He moves it back because I think he's going to try to trap this tank in because now it's gone for the interrupt. I really like that play by Tesla, actually. Let's see if that ends up going to fruition. But StarFlash goes in and gets the interrupt on this city here. Brings some more infantry into the area and goes for this capture here. Brings in another tank to threaten this tank further, and also to respond to the second tank that Tesla built up in the north. And moves out his infantry more. StarFlash goes for just the attack on the infantry there, not going for the attack on the tank, I believe, because now this tank covers it, which it does. And builds his third tank in the area. Builds one more tank out here in the north, and passes his turn to Tesla. And we can just do a quick tank count here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tanks for StarFlash compared to 1, 2, and a mech, and 2 mechs for Tesla. So we can just see how devastating this income advantage is for StarFlash, and also kind of StarFlash's style, right? We haven't seen a single artillery or anything else built like that. I think tanks are generally better than indirects on mixed base anyway, but it's just very interesting to see that StarFlash is kind of going for a Tordred tank style here, where he's just kind of tank spamming and hoping to win map control that way. But we move into Tesla's turn. He does, in fact, go for the trap on the city. That's great. I really love it. Hopefully he's going to bring in this mech here and try to attack it from the mountain. Starts some more captures, brings in another infantry to protect this one, or in case it dies, and then reinstate the trap on the tank on the road. Brings his tank around, gets the engagement here, 7-5 on the tank in the forest, and actually forgoes the capture of the city, the kind of whole point of this engagement, to both protect this tank and trap this one from actually reinforcing this tank, and essentially ensuring that this tank is going to die. Tesla goes for the interrupt on the infantry on the comm tower, making sure that StarFlash can't get it for now. Moves this infantry in to potentially capture this pretty naked city. There's not a lot in the area besides this infantry, but this infantry really wants to go north to capture these cities, so puts it in a bit of a bind. Builds a battlecopter, really smart play. There's no anti-air out yet. And actually goes for the capture on this comm tower, so now StarFlash is either going to have to interrupt his own capture or let Tesla get this comm tower. Continues the capture on this city, moves out his mech, brings in his second tank from the north, and goes ahead and builds some infantry. Moving to StarFlash's turn here, he goes for the engagement on the infantry on the city and goes ahead and finishes it off with his other infantry. Starts some more captures down there in the south. Goes for an interrupt here on the infantry on the city. Now it's going to take exactly 2 turns for this infantry to finish it off, but it's in a weakened state, so it can get picked off pretty easily. Does in fact go for the interrupt on the comm tower, interrupting his own city, bringing in this infantry to eventually get that. Moves out his tank in the north. Goes for the attack on the infantry, interestingly enough. I guess it would be a bad engagement to go on the engagement on the tank. Goes for this engagement as well, which is also interesting. I think it makes sense because if you go for the capture there, that you just lose the engagement, so you may as well get some damage in. Builds the anti-air in response to the battlecopter. Brings in his other 2 tanks to address Tesla's tank in the area. And starts some more captures in the center. If we do a quick income check here, they're roughly equal. StarFlash is 4K actual income ahead, but 2K in terms of actual cities. But he's starting a lot of captures here, 1, 2, 3, compared to Tesla's 1, 2 here that are both not really going to happen on this next turn. So StarFlash is building a nice income advantage in the short term here. Builds another tank up in the north, and we pass it to Tesla's turn. Tesla does in fact go for the engagement on the tank, getting the nice trap payoff, 9-4 engagement there, winning in that area. Goes for the engagement 9-4 here as well on the city to ensure that the tank can't run away. Gets this mech engagement here on the city to try to protect this capture. Starts a few more captures of his own. Gets the nice engagement 7-5 from the city. And, could have finished it off, but is still down to 1 HP there with the nice infantry engagement, and then brings in his tank to attack the anti-air on the city. Now, StarFlash is approaching his power, and obviously this is a very interesting matchup, Sasha versus Adder, right? Because they have powers that kind of, well, I guess Adder kind of counters Sasha in a way, because Sasha's whole bit is it's popping her power to remove power charge from her opponent. But because Adder's power meter is so small to get the side slip, it's really not going to affect Tesla too much if he's smart and he's managing his power bar correctly to try to always be in a place to get those 2 bars on his turn and pop his power. So we'll see if he goes ahead and does that now that he's pretty close before Sasha can drain it completely. Goes for the capture here on this city. This infantry did go to the right to actually defend it instead of going to the north, so that was the decision that StarFlash made. Brings his battlecopter down, and I don't think he's actually going to get his power here, which is, I mean, there's not a lot of units that were left to actually make use of it, so it's not the biggest deal in the world, but he's definitely going to lose that charge because I imagine StarFlash is going to pop his power on the next turn. We roll into StarFlash's turn. He goes for a few early captures, maybe trying to get a few engagements to build power charge himself. Gets the capture here on the city in the north. Starts actually capturing this city, Tesla City up here in the north. He's either now going to have to interrupt it and have a bad engagement and probably die to this infantry as well. So nice move there, getting some infantry presence on the northern island. Moves his infantry out, and there's the market crash. I was wondering if it was going to happen. We do, in fact, see it. We get the 10-10 bonus here, and also, obviously, depleting all of Tesla's power. Get a nice engagement there. I think that was 10-6 down to 10-1, so very nice engagement there because of the power. Interrupts this city capture, injures this infantry. Really nice play, making it take 3 turns to now capture this city instead of 2, so the infantry earns itself in that way. Brings another tank in here to help try to defend the space even further. We actually noticed that there's a lot more pressure on StarFlash's base than Tesla's base, despite the fact that StarFlash had the massive tank advantage in the area. So honestly, really great job by Tesla by making the fight about this base and trying to just defend his with infantry, which he's been pretty successful about. If I was StarFlash, I maybe would have built more units from the southern base to try to attack this further. He's really kind of focused on defense rather than attack in this matchup, which is interesting because Adder is definitely more of an attacking CO, so you would kind of don't necessarily want to fight fire with just huddling down and trying to be safe. Sometimes you need to kind of fight fire with fire and pressure him in his own areas and make him get a little bit more defensive, which he doesn't want to do. Oh, sorry, turn the day counter down there. He brings in his tanks, make sure he confirms this capture on the city, actually, which is even smarter than what I was suggesting, which is killing the infantry off with this infantry. So he's definitely now going to get the city. Moves his anti-air to the city both to heal and to stop this battlecopter swarm that's coming in. Builds another tank, which is honestly kind of an interesting call for me. I guess it's needed, right? Because you have this tank in there and this battlecopter is probably going to injure this one, but I think you maybe could have even gotten away with something like maybe another anti-air is actually the play here, right? Because if the tank engages it, the anti-air is still going to be on fine HP, and I think you're actually more concerned here about these battlecopters than the tanks, because you have your own tanks rolling in, and it feels like, you know, this anti-air is kind of out of place. If I'm maybe criticizing I know I'm criticizing StarFlash here, like who am I to be criticizing StarFlash? But I think I would have built an anti-air from this base and built a tank from this base. So you're both pressuring here and defending against the battlecopters in a more efficient manner. I think the tank from this base is honestly kind of a mistake. But again, I'm me, StarFlash to StarFlash. Moving to Tesla's turn here. He gets the engagement down south, killing off the infantry, and is able to kill off the tank as well with the mech. Really efficient use of this mech here. It's got the trap to its full force, so a really effective play there. Is able to get the capture with the 2 HP infantry. Always love to see it. Gets a few more captures for himself. That's, I think, 4 now in the turn, so a really strong turn for captures. Tries to go for luck roll there, doesn't get it. Gets the battlecopter engagement here on the tank. Because of the power, it's a little bit less favorable. Normally that would be about a 10-5, but instead it's a 9-6. Goes for the luck roll again, gets it this time. Takes the engagement here, 9-3 on this infantry, and he brings in his artillery. And we can now talk about the other main disadvantage of this base, which is that it's very easily artillery locked. Tesla is gunning to put his artillery right here where the infantry is, and from that spot it'll be in artillery range, and it'll lock down the space even further. So StarFlash's plans to defend the space need to really ramp up if he's going to actually try to do it, because he's under a lot of threat, both from the tank and battlecopters coming in, and this artillery threatening to lock the base down as well. And again, he's putting no pressure on Tesla's base to try to really go for a base trade. He's really just trying to defend, and this base, honestly, in Bangalore is just so bad that I don't think defending it is the play. I think switching and trying to attack your opponent's base is really the best opportunity, but StarFlash does not seem interested in doing so. Able to kill off another infantry up there in the north, and uses his tank very strategically to block instead of going for any engagement. Gets a nice engagement there on the tank on the city. Blocks off his tank with this infantry. This is why these mountains suck so much, man, right? You get always these blocks where it's cutting off your own ability to reinforce your tanks, just with infantry and other low HP walls that you can put in. Builds another mech down here in the south. Another tank up in the north. Goes for the engagement there because it was free. Goes for the comm tower capture here. If we look at the comm towers, currently StarFlash has the only one on the board, with these two both being fought over. So Tesla's trying to get this one. The only things that can really interrupt are this tank, which has higher priorities to the right, and this infantry on the city, which again wants to finish off the capture on the city. But we've already seen multiple times this game, both players interrupt their own caps to interrupt an opposing cap. So we may see that again here with this infantry. Brings out his battlecopter out of range of the anti-air, so very nicely done there. And builds a tank here. He's realizing that there's literally zero pressure in this area, so he can really start to threaten these infantry with his own tank. Also potentially maybe shifting it to the north to get some engagements on these tanks as they're coming across, but I wouldn't necessarily even like the play. Honestly, probably the play is to send it to the north to help defend and maybe potentially capture this comm tower. That's probably the play that this tank is going to do. Moves his tank to the, his mech to the right now. Don't really see the long-term play of that, but I won't question Tesla too much with his mech movement. He always knows what he's doing there. StarFlash gets an engagement, nice 1-8-4 on this tank on the city. StarFlash has definitely had the tank advantage throughout this game, but Tesla's actual engagements have been much better. He's been able to utilize this city pretty much every engagement I've seen, where StarFlash is always fighting from the disadvantageous terrain, but just with higher unit count. But this engagement itself is a good one, 8-4. Moves his tank back, tries to get a luck roll 1 versus 1 there, is able to get it. Goes for a nice 9-3 engagement there on the tank on the road and finishes it off. You honestly probably could have finished it off with the anti-air if you wanted to do that and then wall it off if possible, but I'm not sure that that was a viable option there. Does in fact interrupt his own capture to interrupt the comm tower. Brings in another infantry and more tanks. Uses the anti-air to kill off the infantry, so a good play there. There's the other anti-air built from this base. I like it now from StarFlash. Just a turn late, but I don't think it'll super matter. Gets some more, kills off another infantry with his 3 HP infantry down in the right. Moves out his infantry. I think StarFlash is recognizing that Tesla is potentially eyeing up this comm tower, and he wants to really protect it because it's the only one that's captured at this time. Comm towers are, as you can see, are both very aggressively placed on this map, that there's always a lot of conflict happening around them. And because it's mixed base, that where a lot of conflict is happening in general, comm towers are very strong. So these are major points of contention, besides just the 2 HQs as well. I like StarFlash's positioning up here in the north. He's threatening this city and this comm tower as well, and putting Tesla in a bit of a bind whether he wants to actually go in on this attack or send this tank up to the north to defend these cities and the comm tower. I would like to see StarFlash build some more units here and send him to the right along with this artillery. I think he is also now realizing he needs to start attacking this base by bringing his own artillery to help base lock from the same position that Tesla is trying to do. But we'll see what happens. Goes for another engagement up here in the north, builds a tank. 2 tanks, 1 tank in the north, 1 tank in the south, and an infantry in the north as well. And he passes it to Tesla's turn. Now Tesla does have his power ready. StarFlash was not able to break it with Market Crash, so we'll see how Tesla is able to utilize it on this turn. He goes ahead and pops Slide Slip at the start of his turn, knowing that power charge is not going to really matter when you're facing Sasha. Uses it to get the capture on this city, really smart. None of these units here are going to want to interrupt it. They have bigger fish to fry. Probably one of them actually is, because he does have a lot in the area, but we'll see. At least throw a puzzle to StarFlash's way. Moves out his infantry more, gets this capture, this capture, this capture. Just going for really an economic attack against StarFlash, which is needed because he is down from a income perspective, 5,500 real income between the 2 COs. So definitely needs to get more income if he wants to have a chance here. Goes for the engagement on the anti-air and finishes it off. Gets a nice luck roll there on the infantry and a nice engagement battlecopter versus tank. So Tesla got some really good engagements on this turn because of the power. Just really annoying play every single time it happens, just blocking off this anti-air's ability to come in and attack the battlecopter. Gets his artillery in position now to base lock the base on the base here in between the 2 mountains, and is going to bring in his other infantry now to flood in and take these 2 cities as well. I like the position of this infantry as well. You could potentially, if you get another side slip, you can get it here to block in the base completely. And it's also within 1 turn range of both this city if this infantry gets attacked, to maybe do a joint cap, and also obviously this city. So great spot for this infantry. Doesn't actually bother with this city here. He thinks the comm tower is more valuable at this time, and I would potentially agree with him. Or actually, I really would agree with him at this point in the game, so he goes for the capture there. Finishes off this infantry here on the road, builds another battlecopter and a tank in the north, just, the standard build there, trying to overwhelm the base. Decides to move his tank out to the right instead of attacking up north, which I don't necessarily agree with, but we'll see how he handles his attack on the comm tower and this artillery coming in. And builds some more infantry. As we roll into day 10 here for StarFlash. Quick drink, fan is 0 by the way. Don't want too much sugar in the diet. We roll into day 10 here for StarFlash. We'll see how he responds to the all-out assault that's happening on his rightmost base here. So he goes for the engagement there, kills off the infantry that was free, is able to get the kill here on the battlecopter, and goes ahead and pops Market Crash. It won't actually affect Tesla's power at all, but he's just doing it for the passive 10-10 boost. Brings in his tank here for the engagement on this infantry, and is able to finish it off. Killing off as many units as possible here on the right is going to be in StarFlash's advantage just because of these annoying blocks that I've been talking about, right? He wants to limit unit count here as much as possible, so killing off some infantry when you can is definitely the play there. Finishes off the comm tower cap. That's a huge benefit there, and is also able to start it from his own perspective with this infantry, so nice placement of his units. Brings in his tank and anti-air stream that he's just been doing to kind of overwhelm this area, and now StarFlash is actually starting to have the advantage in this area. We have two tanks, 2 more that are injured, but then 2 anti-air coming in and another tank coming in against, battlecopter tank. It's kind of even numbers, but I would say that StarFlash has the advantage. The only problem is these captures that are happening down here in the south and this artillery locking down the base. So it's bad for StarFlash in this area, but it's not as bad as it necessarily could have been. Gets the capture going on the comm tower and brings in his artillery to defend. Also captures this city here. Brings his tank in down here in the south. Kind of a dangerous placement for this tank, honestly, depending on Tesla's powers coming up, putting it in side flip range of these 2 mechs. But I don't think Tesla's going to get side flip just because he just popped it. But maybe a little bit risky for StarFlash in the long term to bring his tank into these mech range. Builds another tank up here in the north, and actually base skips. I'm trying to wonder what... Oh, it was because he built a Neo tank. Okay, so he built a Neo tank from the rightmost base. I think the main reason why here is because the artillery attacking a Neo tank will probably do about 3 damage, maybe 3.5 damage, and that's going to get repaired by the Neo tank up to 9 on the Neo tank's turn. So really kind of saying, like, if you're going to artillery lock me, it's not going to really matter because I'm going to build such a beefy unit that it's not going to do that much damage. Obviously, StarFlash will have to pay the repairs for that unit, but when you have 27,500 income and potentially more coming in depending on some of these captures, it's a play that you can do. So I kind of like it, right? You're saying that I'm going to fight fire with fire here in a way and just build such an expensive unit that I don't really care about the repairs, and it's not going to take that much damage. Moving to Tesla's turn, though, he gets the flip on this city here. Gets some more captures going, and now we see income. He was down 5,500, and after just these first few captures, it's back to just a deficit of 400. So really strong captures by Tesla. Again, tries to capture the comm tower. He's going to get it on the next turn. Nothing can interrupt it. Get the tank and battlecopter engagement here. That was definitely going to be a kill if StarFlash was not on the power, but because he is, it goes ahead and survives on 1 HP. Does in fact go for the artillery engagement. It's actually even better than I thought, probably because, again, the power, it's down to 8 HP instead of 7, so it's actually going to heal up to full HP on this next turn. So very nice for StarFlash. Here are the captures that I was talking about on these bases that are pretty much inevitable at this point. StarFlash really has to work hard to get some of these captures going, or else he's going to lose his income advantage. We see the mech start to move to the right as well. Brings his tank over here as well. I think he's trying to actually reinforce in this area and potentially block up the base from this side as well, which would be pretty devastating because previously StarFlash's units have been able to reinforce from the left, and it's not been this locking from the right has not been as bad as it could have been. But if Tesla is able to fully lock off this base by putting a unit here as well, that's where this artillery and all these units will really start to threaten the base even harder. We see the tank come down here in the south, out of range of the Neo tank, in range of these tanks, but it's on the city, so it has good terrain. More of a defensive posture here, trying to both protect these cities and the HQ, and not kind of run first into this tank, but also keeping the mech in position to also keep the tank at bay. So kind of a standoff here in the south. We see the same builds we've always seen from Tesla, which is just tank, battlecopter from these 2 bases, and then infantry everywhere else. It's been the build for like literally I don't know, like 70% of Tesla's turns. So it's just been this constant stream and this attacking up here in the upper right quadrant. So we'll see how these turns interact now that these comm towers are starting to be captured. So StarFlash gets the comm tower up here in the north, and is going to get this comm tower here on the left as well. So we're going to have a turn here with StarFlash at 30% extra attack power, with Tesla at 0 for the time being. So that's probably also the reason for this retreat, right? Tesla realized it's going to be a really deadly turn here for a minute with StarFlash with 30% extra power. So Anti-Air comes in, kills off the battlecopter easily. Actually, now StarFlash gets the capture, so it was at 20%. So classic, you know, I'm not gonna say it's a blunder because it's literally an answer. I would have killed with the 0 comm towers, but always a funny move when a unit attacks before the last comm tower is captured. StarFlash goes ahead and gets the capture on this city as well. Starts this capture up here in the north. Moves out his Neotank infantry to the left, which is interesting because I guess he doesn't care about these tank engagements, and he's trying to actually probably more focus it on this artillery. Also stops this tank from really having any point of blocking in from the left. So I kind of like this move by StarFlash, actually. Your tanks are kind of winning this area regardless, so setting the Neotank out to both address potentially the artillery and this tank coming in is probably the best play. StarFlash... Oh, sorry, changed the map there for a second. StarFlash goes for some more captures down here on the left, trying to flip this city. Brings in his tank to actually attack the mech on the city. Wow, that's a crazy move. Because, one, this mech's going to go back up to 6 HP, but just a really aggressive move, actually. I think is probably the better way to say that. Honestly, probably a play for power charge. He's only, what is this, 900 gold away from the power to totally wreck Tesla's power here. His power meter back down to 0. So actually, this is probably a really smart play if he's able to get this last 900 and then pop his power. Goes for the engagement here, gets an 8-5, and sacrifices basically this unit here. He's really close. There it is exactly. Wow, nicely done. This was definitely a move probably done in Move Planner to make sure you can get exactly enough to get the power here. Goes in and pops Market Crash, stopping Tesla from being able to get the side slip at least immediately. Probably able to still get it based on the funds left here. Actually, why does StarFlash have so few funds? Probably because of the repairs here on the Neotank. But did he build any units? I don't think he built any units, so he didn't make any blunders there. But not as strong of a market crash as it could have been. But still, obviously very good and nice that he was able to get it via Move Planner there. And if he didn't use Move Planner to get exactly 25,200 funds or whatever it was, I respect for StarFlash even more. I wouldn't put it past him. But we build some more tanks and a few more infantry. And let's go ahead and do a check-in at this point in the match, right? So we have about even unit count going into Tesla's turn here, 30 to 29. Obviously, it's the start of Tesla's turn, so he's probably winning from a unit count perspective because he's going to be able to build 4, maybe 5 units on this turn. But unit value-wise, he's definitely behind. 70k to 103k with only 27 gold in the bank. You would, if you were kind of in an even position here, he would probably have around 85,000 unit value. So the fact that he's down to 70 kind of speaks to the fact that he's maybe a bit behind in that perspective. And then income is roughly the same. It's about as close as you're going to get on a map like this against Sasha. If we look at unit board state, we have multiple captures going against each other here. Tesla's getting this one. StarFlash is threatening both of these, and really the biggest indicator of this map right now to me, the biggest swing of who's actually in the lead here is the comm towers. StarFlash has 3 comm towers here, here, and here. To Tesla 0 for now, he's going to get this one. But if Tesla really wants to get back into this fight, he needs to find a way to get one of these comm towers back, especially because we're actually getting a full-on attack on the space now. StarFlash has realized that he can defend here a little bit, but still apply tons of pressure on the space. This artillery is coming in to lock down the base, and he actually has more and better infantry positioning than Tesla in this area. With that being said, though, let's go into day 11 for Tesla. So he goes ahead and gets the artillery attack here on the tank on the base. I'm not sure, actually. I think he's definitely able to actually kill this base and block it, but there's probably enough units in here by StarFlash that he can re-kill whatever goes on top of it and take it back, but we'll have to see here what he actually goes for. So he does go in for that, in fact, for that engagement, is able to kill off the tank on the base, but doesn't have an infantry in the area to actually sit on the base. If he had his power, he could do it, so he may be gunning for that and then placing this infantry on the base. That might be the play here. Goes for a few more engagements, gets some nice ones with both of his tanks there. Goes for the engagement on the anti-air. Yeah, he's definitely gunning for his power here. Actually uses the infantry to get power charge, though, not to stop the base. It's kind of interesting there. If I'm StarFlash, sorry, if I'm Tesla, I wonder what I'm doing. I think you can definitely clear off this base and then potentially attack the infantry and clear it off. It's really, I would have to go into move planner, honestly, to figure out if I could clear off an infantry from this base, because if you can stop unit count coming from this base and really start to take it over, I would have definitely done that. I think that's the play here for sure. So Tesla must have been able to find a way that StarFlash could clear this base and build a unit on his next turn. We get a few more engagements going on. I honestly wonder if Tesla's not gunning for his power. He's doing a lot of movements. He basically just has infantry left in this battlecopter. I kind of wonder if Tesla's not going for the power here at all. Also, I haven't been casting this, but I'm just realizing now that this anti-air is actually locking down the space. So Tesla needs to react to this pretty much immediately. Otherwise, this airport's going to get airport locked. Or just fight directly into it and put multiple battlecopters in the area. That's another strategy. If you're getting airport locked, is just to fight fire with fire. Goes for some nice engagements here around his HQ. He's now kind of posturing in this area to try to take this comm tower, right? This tank and mech combo here are really starting to become a threat. Running away from the Neo tank, which is honestly probably the smartest move he could have done. And I think he's now trying to gun for this comm tower to take it away from StarFlash. We get a tank built here on this leftmost city. A couple infantry built from the southern bases. And actually doesn't go for the interrupt of the city, but instead attack on this infantry. I'm not going to pretend to understand that. I would have interrupted the city to stop an income change, but I'm sure Tesla has his reasons. StarFlash now getting very aggressive with his infantry, literally a one-turn range of his infantry from the space, which is insane that the units are being pushed this far to capture this city. I mean, I guess it kind of works, right? This tank probably has more engagements that it wants to do than attacking this infantry, and especially because they can kind of get trapped or put in a bad position for its own movement by these infantry if it comes in. So I actually don't hate that capture. Anti-air come in here, kill both battlecopters. Really strong play by StarFlash. He's winning these tank engagements as well. Another really interesting fact I love about Neo tanks is that they can serve as pretty effective anti-air, especially if you're on a power or something. Like StarFlash isn't even on a power, but because again of these three comm towers, he's essentially max, right? Like it's even actually stronger than max. A plus 30% firepower Neo tank can do 3 damage to this anti-air, and also drains it one away from its ammo as well. So now it only has 1 ammo and it's down to 4 HP. So really nice move here by the Neo tank attacking the battlecopter. Builds another Neo tank on the space and goes for more engagements here in the south. Really trying to get this artillery in position to lock down the space. We have some more posturing here trying to defend this comm tower, and we move into day 12 for Tesla. As we move into day 12 here for Tesla, we can see that his unit value is definitely significantly less than StarFlash at this point. Income and actual unit count is looking slightly better, but these two Neo tanks are causing a huge problem for this attack on this rightmost base. And really the only thing going for Tesla is his superpower is basically ready. So he has a bunch of power charge he's able to use, but obviously anything that's not used, StarFlash is going to take away with his own power. So really vital turn here for Tesla. He has to get it right if he wants to have any chance of still being in this game. So we go for some infantry interactions here in the left, and we get to the superpower Sidewinder. Very rare in general for Adder to pop Sidewinder, but definitely I could see it here, both because Sasha is going to take it away if you don't use it, and just because movement of all these infantry is going to be really important if you're trying to capture this comm tower. So we get some nice tank engagements on the anti-airs. That was definitely funded by Sidewinder being active. Get a capture here on this city to the right. And here comes the all-out attack on these cities and comm towers down in the south. I mean, look, that's like crazy movement, right? That infantry was able to go all the way from here to this comm tower, and I believe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, this infantry can actually block it off too. That's, I mean, just Sidewinder things, right? Able to get these interactions here. Mech comes in, gets a really nice engagement on the tank on the city. Gets this capture going, again, Sidewinder. gets some nice luck rolls with his infantry, is able to box in the Neo tank pretty effectively, and starts to capture here on this city as well. So honestly, a really good turn by Tesla. This area is looking bad for him just because of the Neo tanks, but he's saying, like, I don't really care. I don't need to fight your Neo tanks. I'm just going to have a way better unit count than you, and your Neo tanks is just going to be sitting on the base all day. So we'll see how StarFlash is going to have to respond to this. We're still interested to see what this infantry is going to do, but we have another artillery being built from this base. We could either actually go one of two ways here, to the north up here and try to attack this comm tower, but it's probably going to come up here and threaten the base as well. And this infantry actually doesn't go for the full block here. I guess none of the StarFlash infantry can come down from the south anyway, so there's no need to do it. I don't know, I like the aesthetic of walls, even if they don't serve a purpose. Maybe that's just me. We get a market crash coming in for StarFlash here. It's just going to be for the passive 10-10 power. Oh, that seems like it could have been a luck roll. 9 versus 4 HP here on the Battlecopter. I think he probably had a chance to kill it, so it kind of stinks from StarFlash's strategy that he's not able to do it. And now he has to base lock himself on this base. So that really sucks for StarFlash. I think that was probably a roll to see if he could have gotten that kill. Get double nice engagements there on the tank, not taking any other damage from that mech. Was able to get a capture on the city, which is like insane to me, and is capturing this one as well, and blocking the airport with his own anti-air. That's definitely going to die to these tanks, so that's not going to be a long-term block. Get some nice engagements on the mechs here with his own infantry. That's really cost-effective engagement there. Trying to find a way to potentially stop this flip, but it's definitely going to happen. So we're going to go now to a game state of 2 con towers for each player. Brings in his infantry and a Battlecopter here. Really nice play. The anti-air is not in range yet, and this Battlecopter can really start to threaten this area as well. And I think StarFlash is going to immediately try to reflip this comm tower back. Alright, rolling into day 13. This is honestly a really long match for a mixed-base game, so really interested to see how this one finishes out. We get some engagements here. He kills off the anti-air, stops this capture here with his own tank. He's kind of trapping himself here, but this tank could come in. I don't think it's going to super matter, and he's just more interested in stopping the city flip. Tesla was able to completely stop this base lock by injuring the artillery and killing off his infantry, and now he's recapturing this base. So really great job of defending here. I think he's actually defending his center base a lot better than StarFlash has at this point. But we get some more engagements down here in the south. A capture in the city, very nice, not going to be able to be interrupted. And capture is here. He's really capturing across the board. He's probably going to get a huge income advantage coming soon. If he can get this city, which I don't see a unit that can interrupt it, he's going to get this capture. He's going to get this capture. So 2 flips and a capture, and then these ones are coming in the long term. So Tesla's going to have a massive income advantage coming up here soon. He's bringing his artillery out here. I guess it's defending this artillery here, right? Because with these Neo-tanks, it probably could have busted through and a tank attack this artillery, but now this artillery is defending this one square that it has access to. So kind of an interesting play here. I would have never thought to look this far ahead, but obviously Tesla saw something in this attack that I didn't. Move into day 14 here for StarFlash, and he's really got to start acting now. He's down 14 units in unit count. Wow, unit count really swung. And he's going to lose the income advantage really fast here if he doesn't make some really strong plays. So this is a very vital turn for StarFlash. Let's see how he handles it. Does in fact go for these infantry interrupts and is trying to attack the artillery. So he's saying, I don't care, I need to kill off this artillery and stop being base locked. But he's putting these, Neo-tank, 8 HP Neo-tank on a bridge in artillery range. Like that sucks. No matter, even if you're stopping a base lock, that just sucks to do. We get some engagements down here in the south. He is trying to reflip this comm tower down here. And moving out towards the center. It's hilarious to me on these mixed-base maps, even with so many turns going on, there's still 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 properties that haven't been captured yet. I know this has been a very brawly match where a lot of engagements has been happening, but I just always love to see that on mixed-base maps to see which properties are never captured throughout the game. We get some more fights going on here in the south. Double artillery here now. This one's repairing. This one was just freshly built. I'm trying to reassert pressure in here and try to attack this base, but honestly, Tesla's positioning here is really strong. Anti-air and 2 tanks is probably going to be able to kill off infantry and then any vehicles that come in pretty effectively. So I do like the Battlecopter throwing another screw that the anti-air has to deal with, but I still think Tesla will be able to defend pretty well. Wow, 6 HP of damage here on the Neo tank. That's just like brutal. but like you had to get out of base lock range, so I understand it. We get the the kill here on this infantry here, and this tank goes off and kills this infantry as well. And we get the side slip. So Tesla's able to get that power in, uses the mech to finish off the Neo tank, very strong. Oh, and is now trapping this Neo tank. Oh my god, this is disastrous for StarFlash. Unless he's able, he's gonna have to waste all of his tanks. Oh wow, this is so bad. He's gonna have to waste all of his tanks freeing his own Neo tank, so it's not in artillery range, and he kind of needs those tanks to defend, especially if if Tesla's gonna send all of his units down here to really attack this base. So I like this play. I like the trap. There's been so many traps this game. It's a very, I mean, Bangalore kind of lends itself that way, but the way these players have been playing has also made this happen even more. We get really strong defense here by Tesla of this comm tower, not wanting to let it go, while also defending up here in the north. And honestly, at this point, I don't see StarFlash coming back. I mean, he has lost the income advantage at this point. He's down 11 units in unit count, and board positioning-wise, it looks terrible. Like, this base is still under threat. Not directly as much. There's not an artillery here locking down the base, but there's a bunch of units flooding in. This Neo tank is trapped. This comm tower is not being flipped back, and you have no pressure on your opponent's weak base. So right now, it's looking really, really bad for StarFlash. He needs to have a great turn here, or it's pretty much over, I think. But we get a anti-air and a battlecopter built here by Tesla, and we go to StarFlash's turn. Gets an engagement here on the infantry. I'm wondering if he's going to just pop Market Crash. Why would you do that? I guess he kills off his mech because he's worried. I mean, yeah, the mech was in tank range. I didn't even account for that. I'm sorry, the tanks are in mech range because they have to kill off this infantry. But he actually decides to kill the mech and put himself again in range of this artillery on the bridge. This artillery has earned itself in 18 times over. I mean, this is the most valuable unit of this game right now, is this artillery. I can't believe the value that it's getting. And StarFlash is kind of walking into it, but he kind of has to in the same regard if he's trying to get these units out. So there we go ahead and get the Market Crash coming in. I think he probably could have done that earlier. I think he was probably just trying to save some power charge with some engagements that didn't need the extra firepower, but it is what it is. We get some engagements down here in the south trying to fight off this infantry, but again, he's not able to clear the base, and I mean, income perspective-wise, you're going to be way down, right? Like, these two cities are being captured the next turn. This one is 2 turns away from being captured. These cities are weak and have nothing defending them. The comm tower has absolutely nothing defending it right now. This is where unit count's really starting to expose StarFlash. You look at 22 units here, but if you look at effective units that are actually in the front line, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of these units, 8 of StarFlash's 20 units, really aren't doing anything, and the other main chunk of them is defending his own base, right? So a lot of these cities are going to start flipping. The fact that there's nothing in this area is really bad news for really bad news for StarFlash, especially if Tesla starts pumping out inventory and start capturing these cities and the comm tower. So we move into here, day 15 for Tesla, and I think this is really going to be the nail in the coffin. Gets the capture on the city, nothing can interrupt it. Is starting to capture this comm tower as well. He's going to be able to interrupt this comm tower capture if he wants. Does in fact go for it. And get some more really nice engagements. Honestly, kind of a crazy play here. Actually uses the artillery to attack the anti-air instead of the Neo tank. I guess because he's like, yeah, this Neo tank is really not a threat. I'm not going to put any units in range of it. And this anti-air is really the danger to cut through this battlecopter and clear out this infantry walk. So honestly, I respect it. Like, it's probably the best play in the moment to ignore the value and just go for the attack on the anti-air. But Tesla keeps on rolling in, continues to block off this reinforcement path to the right so he can bring his battlecopter for free. Builds another artillery potentially to lock it down from this side now, and this base is really just not looking strong at this point. Builds a more mechs, gets another nice engagement up here in the north. Really shutting down this attack. Puts himself in artillery range here, but at this point I don't think Tesla really cares because I think he's realized he's won the game at this point. So we roll in here to day 16 for StarFlash, and he goes for a few more engagements here, but I think the game is pretty much over at this point. Gets some nice engagements down here on around the battlecopter, preventing its movement slightly, and is able to defend his base a bit better, but like I said, the cities are falling, the comm tower is about to fall. StarFlash goes for a few more engagements and goes ahead and resigns the game. Great game between these two competitors. Obviously, they're both very strong players. There's no shame in StarFlash losing this game. Obviously, he was in a lot of games at the time, including, I think, the APC Cup, which he eventually won. So really no shame here in losing this match, especially against Tesla. Tesla is going to be one of the strongest players on the site when it comes to specifically adder play. And adder in general is just a really strong CO on mixed states maps. Yes, it's a tier 1 matchup, and yes, Sasha is a stronger CO than adder, but because it's mixed base, it's a lot closer. Like, those tiers are kind of deceptive in what you think. And when you're facing someone like Tesla, or you're facing someone like Grimguy, who basically only plays one CO, it's, you're facing the man who has practiced one punch 1,000 times and not 1,000 punches one time, right? Like, they're going to be masters of their craft at these specific COs. And if you get a little complacent or you play a little fast, which StarFlash is known to do, there's chances you can lose the game. But overall, I think Tesla played a really just strong game. I think there was probably 6 or 7 unit traps, very strong unit traps that he got. This artillery here, like we talked about throughout the game, just got so much value. He was able to attack StarFlash's weak base pretty much the entire game. I mean, it was literally tank, battlecopter coming from these two base and airport up here in the north basically every turn, where StarFlash really didn't go for, or didn't really commit to attack on this weak base as much. And I think that's ultimately what decided the game in favor of Tesla. That being said, it was a great match between these two competitors. I can't wait to cast more games on my channel, now with Facecam for the first time. And with that being said, thank you so much for watching. My name is MansaMusa, and remember, tiers are nothing but a suggestion. Bye, guys.